The hero's journey of Eiden. Many years ago, humanity discovered a new mineral called magnum. This mineral, when made a gas, put into a gaseous state, it was able to provide unlimited amounts of energy for some years before it dissipated. Having found the alternative for the coal, humanity started fighting for the control of this new mineral. During this time, mist spread through the land. This mist started turning anyone, women, men, children, all of the humans into these beings that were driven only by an otherworldly call. Beings called in time the faceless seraphs, those who fought against humanity, and those who, as it seems, came right after the war for Magnum has begun. And so the remnants of humanity hid inside a massive stronghold city they called Kingrad. They were protected by the walls they created, and they fought against the faceless seraphs with their newfound technology by creating exonites, these metal-plated, heavily armored mechs that were piloted by master pilots. Humanity was divided into different social classes, and so Eiden, a young boy who was working in the mines tirelessly, digging for magnum with his grandfather Adam and his other friends Wilbert, Gil, and Vern. He spent his days using a pickaxe in the mines and basically knowing nothing else. His greatest joy was playing backgammon with his grandfather after the hard day at work. But Eiden was not an ordinary boy. He had an oddly shaped ancestral birthmark on his chest, and his grandfather had the same mark. Because of this mark, Eiden quite often had hallucinations, and he was losing consciousness. And in order for them to stop and to recede, he had to take a special kind of drug that most people, if not all of them, have to take, especially when mist comes and mist envelops humans. After it envelops them, they turn into faceless seraphs, and in order to mitigate the effects of this unknown mist, people have to inject themselves with this special medicine. But Eiden has to do it not only when mist comes, but also when he starts to have hallucinations, and he starts to hear this strange otherworldly call, as if the same that the faceless seraphs always hear. And so one fateful day, when the gears of fate are set in motion, mist appears in the mines where Eiden lives with his grandfather and others. And it appears because the faceless seraphs attack this part of Kingrad, and exonites are starting to fight against them on the surface, but the underground city becomes covered by the mist. Eiden, the only survivor amongst his family, amongst the grandfather. His grandfather is left there, mist enveloping him. He doesn't know where his friends are. He escapes with some unknown people. And so he gets to the surface, to this sprawling steampunk city of Kingrad, and now the only place he can go is to his parents, who live on the surface. And so he heads there with the help of a man who helps him get there. And in the first place, Eiden didn't live with his parents because he was tired of them constantly arguing with each other, and he preferred having the company of his grandfather, with whom he always lived in peace. But he gets back to his parents, and they're very happy to see him and whatnot. And so years pass, Eiden grows up. He's now a youth who works at a factory, and he goes there every day getting his quite a low salary, but he's able to live off of it. Especially considering that his parents are working as well, so they can maintain their household. But once, during his day at work at this factory, he sees the mist coming, and he starts to have hallucinations, and he sees faceless seraphs attacking the factory and attacking Kingrad. And so the exonites start to defend the humans who are working there, but Eiden runs away, and he sees this exonite fighting against the faceless seraph. And as closer as he gets, the more his ancestral birthmark starts to glow. And the exonite pilot sees it, and he sees this resonance to the faceless seraph, and he gets really interested in what is this happening. So he remembers Eiden, of course, but Eiden then runs, not knowing what is going on, and so he leaves to his parents' house. And then he asks them, "What about the mark? What is it? Why do I have these hallucinations? And what is it about? Do you know anything about it?" And so they tell him their family history. Basically, they don't know much about it, but every single one of their ancestors had the same mark, and it seemed like they have this much stronger resonance to the inhabitants of the Misty Valley. And the Misty Valley is the place which was completely enveloped by mist, which is radiating from the so-called pillars. The pillars, yes, from which the mist comes. And so they say that they are they have prevalent effects on the mist, and not only on the mist, just sometimes they have hallucinations and whatnot. So they don't know why, but if he wants to know the truth, he must head to the Misty Valley, and Aiden realizes that he must leave Kingrad to find the answers to the question that he's seeking. And so that day, a curfew is in effect, and the government starts to seek Aiden, to find him, because of the mark that was glowing with the close proximity to the faceless seraph. And so he has to leave, and he does so, getting to the the farthest away region of Kingrad in order to get through the special system of pipes and tubes to get out from the city and head to the Misty Valley. He's also given a suit in order to protect him from the exposure of the mist, and so he leaves, although his mother, of course, is quite against it. Aiden is able to traverse the distance to the exit from the city, and there he meets with a girl who has the same ancestral birthmark as him. And she says that her name is Evelina, and she's also trying to escape the nightmare that keeps haunting her, the nightmare of the hallucinations and the voice that she hears. And Aiden realizes that they have the same path ahead of them. And so they leave Kingrad and go to the Misty Valley, but before they can reach it, they have to traverse the distance of all the other cities and settlements that were covered with the mist, the forests, all the other locations that were taken by the faceless seraphs. And so after they leave Kingrad, they find themselves in a special factory, where real people are working there in suits, of course, against the mist, so they protect themselves this way. And so Aiden and Evelina get imprisoned there on this factory, although they want to get help from those people, but seeing that they have those marks that the government of Kingrad is looking for, the leader of the factory man tells the government that he has found those people, and so they take him custody. But something happens. Something unexpected happens when the suit breaks and both Evelina and Aiden turn into faceless seraphs. They turn into faceless seraphs, but into those that do not look like all the other ordinary beings consumed by the mist. They have unique appearances, and their symbols on the chests always glowing. They fight against the factorymen that defeat them, and Aiden saves Evelina from seemingly death that cannot be avoided. And so they leave, and after they land in the forest, they get back their human guises, basically, and they realize what happened. They became faceless seraphs, but some unique forms of faceless seraphs that can turn back from one form to the next. And they start to realize they no longer require food to sustain themselves, only water. And they're able to create different weapons and whatever they want from the mist itself when the mist is hovering around them. It is as if a seemingly never-ending energy they can exploit for their own means, for their own purposes. And so they head to the Misty Valley now with a new realization, and with this, the voice in their heads starting to sound much more distinct and louder. And during this, they're being attacked by the forces of Kingrad with two faceless seraphs that look the same as all the other ones. They are ordinary faceless seraphs without the marks, without the ancestral birthmarks, of course, but they are used by the Kingrad army to get Aiden and Evelina, to capture them. And it turns out that these are none other than Aiden's former friends Gil and Ver. And he realizes this only after he defeats them. After that, they meet with Aiden's grandfather, who miraculously survived and is still in his human guise. He lives in a ginormous claw, and a biomechanical claw, which is, as he says, the claw of a great being that was once fighting against another being that he says cannot gain control of the humanity, otherwise all is doomed. And so Adam seems to be knowing quite a lot about the situation, and so Eiden tries to get some information from him. But the only information his grandfather gives Eiden is that they cannot head to the Misty Valley. They cannot get answers to their questions, as otherwise they will be doomed like the rest of the humankind. But Eiden and Evelina tell him that they want to form their own opinion, and for that they want to know the truth. And if he won't tell them, then they will find out about it in the Misty Valley. And so the battle ensues, grandfather against grandson, and the younger generation beats the older one. And so Eiden, with tears in his eyes, has to slay his own kin in order to progress forward to the answers to the questions he's seeking. After that, after some time, Eiden starts to fall in love with Evelina. His bond starts to deepen as they start to know more and more about each other and start to realize some common even interests amongst them. And so he starts to tell Evelina that he opens his heart to her, but she seems to be refusing his feelings, saying that they are not something that flows both ways between them, as she was given a promise, and she gave a promise as well to someone named Kimball, in her childhood. And so Eiden and Evelina part ways for some time in this seemingly deserted settlement, but as the time goes on, Eiden starts to realize he can't find Evelina, and so he finds a secret laboratory that is being run by a cybernetically reconstructed scientist with his army of drones who is experimenting on faceless seraphs. He's torturing them, but for what reason? Eiden cannot even imagine. And he hears the screams of Evelina and rushes to save her. He defeats the mad scientist and saves Evelina, but before that, he demands from the scientist to know who is his master, who's behind all those atrocities, why did he commit them? And so he says that the one who wanted him to do this was none other than Kimball. And so Eiden and Evelina head to a castle that stands before them after they leave the scientist's lab, and they meet with Kimball and his duo of followers slash friends, Sangar and Arstrak. And so, as it turns out, they were tortured and exploited by the Apostle of the Mist, who is the grand leader of all the Faceless Seraphs, the main prophet of the Misty Valley. And so Kimball, not telling that much about his past, informs Eiden and Evelina that they, the false prophets who were created for only one particular reason, to be used by the Apostle of the Mist to bring about the true evolution of humanity, they are the ones who are fighting against them and who want Eiden and Evelina to join his cause. But Eiden, obviously feeling jealous to Kimball as he has love of Evelina, really doesn't want to do this, and Evelina herself, when she realizes the true motif behind Kimball's seemingly on the surface goodwill-driven words, realizes that she herself as well cannot go with him, cannot follow his path, and that he has changed. And so the battle ensues between Kimball, his comrades, and Eiden and Evelina, and by uniting the powers, Eiden and Evelina are able to overcome the trio of false prophets, and they get to know much more about the secrets that are no longer secret, about how the Apostle of the Mist, in order to bring about the evolution, basically, to turn all humans into faithless seraphs, he needs 2 more prophets, those who have the ancestral birthmarks. But since he did not have them, only he was the one who had the mark, he needed some to create some. And so Kimball, Aristrak, and Sangar were synthetic prophets. But they left, they escaped from the Apostle. And so they started to wage their own war, or to prepare to wage war against them. But This was not to be, as Eiden and Evelina finally get to their destination, to the Misty Valley. And there they meet with the one and only Apostle of the Mist, Eleazar Vigis, who turns out to be the ancestor of both Eiden and Evelina, the one who has lived for hundreds of years plotting to destroy humankind, or as he says, as he puts it, to bring it to the new level of evolution. He asks Eiden and Evelina to join him in his sacred cause and touch the pillars of creation that are emanating their eternal, alluring light and producing the mist that turns human into something non-human. And Evelina, as if under hypnosis from those pillars and Eleazar and the truth that they learned, joins with him. But Eiden, seeing how Evelina betrayed him for the sake of this Eleazar, traitor of mankind, he can no longer stand it. He turns into a faceless seraph and leaves the pillars of creation, taking from Apostle's cape, from the inside of his cape, a diary. And so he leaves. On the way he has to fight against other faceless seraphs that are attacking him in hordes, and he's able to escape successfully. And so he's going back to Kingrad to inform everybody, to inform the government of the true intentions of the faceless seraphs and the apostle, and that they have to do something to stop him. And so he gets there. But as it turns out, his family is no more. The region where his parents lived was completely destroyed. It was scorched by flames of the Exo-Knights when they were eliminating the threat of the faceless seraphs. After mourning for his dear ones, Eiden opens the diary of the Apostle of the Mist and gains the true knowledge behind what had happened thousands of years ago. And so he finally finds out about how the mist came to be in the world of man. When the war for Magnum, for the possession of Magnum, has started, one of the great houses of man, one of the great clans, was contacted by an otherworldly entity through a moon, and this entity has promised this clan the victory in this war over Magnum, so they would get all the resources. And for that, it only asked cooperation in order to have the mist spread in the land. And so Eleazar accepted with his brother and sister. He accepted these terms. And so the war came to an end, with the land being sprinkled with blood of faceless seraphs destroying real humans after the mist has spread. And so Eleazar became the Apostle of the Mist, driven only by one goal, by the goal of the otherworldly entity he was now under the control of. And this otherworldly entity wanted nothing else but to consume life of the whole humanity, and to do that, it had to have influence on the planet. And so through Eleazar, through the ending of this war, it was able to gain a foothold there, basically on the other planet, in the other world. And so Eleazar wanted to finalize the whole goal of eradicating humanity, enveloping it in the mist, but his brother and sister left and ran to the Kingrad, to the only fortress that was protected from the mist, where real humans live. They escaped from Eleazar, and so he was trying to find their kin of his brother and sister in the Kingrad, someone who shared the same ancestral birthmark, so he could finalize this ritual of final eradication of humanity for the sake of otherworldly being. And so, armed with this knowledge, Eiden heads to the government of Kingrad, but not before Evelina leads the crusade with the faceless seraphs attacking Kingrad, and Eiden has to protect the real humans against those who want to desecrate their only place of belonging, Kingrad. And so he faces off against Evelina in this ensuing battle and wounds her and brings back to the good side, the side of the humanity. And so after they're united in their love and in their true goal of saving all that has to be saved, the army of Kingrad unites under the banners of their saviors, of the prophets Eiden and Evelina, and heads to the Misty Valley to finally put an end to this bloodshed and to this horrible misunderstanding and horrible situation, which has to be put to an end. Eiden and Evelina, joining their forces, destroy Eleazar and send him to his otherworldly being for his own eradication, as they think. And so the pillars of destruction, as they truly are, not the creation but the destruction, they are a linking portal to this entity and to the spreading of the mist. And so Eleazar gets inside of that, and he's transported to the being laying outside the known stars. And Eiden and Evelina finally get rid of the curse of the mist. All the humans who were faceless Saros turn back to their true guises, to their true selves, and Eiden and Evelina no longer have voices in their head. The voice of the alien that wanted to rejuvenate his power and his essence by feeding off of the whole human race. And so, with this love between Eiden and Evelina, the new day comes.